Okay, so wanted to talk about installing this cowl. Now, what we have is a combination of old Ford tooling mixed with new reproduction aftermarket blotch. Okay, and you can see this gap over here is not going down. Now, there's some stuff that you got to listen to your metal about, and it's important to do so. Now this is OEM, so this shouldn't have a problem going on. This is a flat surface, so this shouldn't be the hindrance. And this is OEM, and this is the same hole here for the OEM piece. So it's kind of like OEM, aftermarket, OEM. So, logically speaking, the issue that should be causing this thing to have ridiculous gapping issues is the aftermarket, the black piece. So, what needs to happen is that this lip over here needs to bend in that way, about that distance. You can see it. So we need to take this whole assembly back off and bang it down. So bang this lip down, or bend it with channel lock or something to get it closer to here, so that when it sits comfortably, because these holes is fine. This is when your wiper comes out. This hole goes straight through. I didn't even line that up. This is after I did everything in terms of lining up my holes using my pick pry bar and lining up that hole over there and then that one over there. It resulted in this hole lining up perfectly. So this is not the problem. If you notice, this slip over this is a spot weld. This is a section of your OEM upper cowl for spot welding in this panel here. This is off, so that's got to be fixed. Now the next thing is that the firewall is aftermarket as well. Now the OEM, everything is supposed to be seamless, where it just kind of goes straight down. So what I have to do after all this is said and done is cut. I'm going to cut both these panels and basically use the OEM as a guide to go across. So just to give you a back image, that's what it's going to look like. So if you looked in my last video, these panels were all distorted. Here was all wrinkled up and crumbed up, mucked up. So what I did was I clamped this whole thing down to where it is, to where it's supposed to be, and then afterwards all the areas that was problems I would bang with my body hammer. So I don't know if I stated which tools I used, but this is cold working. I used this hammer, not so much the shrinking portion of this hammer, but the pick side. It helped immensely. So that, and then for flattening, just regular bare flattening, I used my chisel hammer over here. This side's for moving high spots, like little, high spots that you gotta tap down, boom. And that's what I used, like over here, or if I had to get into here. But for the most part, if you were trying to do this and you needed to remove those spot welds, unless you drilled out every hole perfectly, you're not going to get perfection, and it's not just going to come right off. Not to mention with the rust, it kind of bonds everything together, so there's going to be some deformation. But once you have everything clamped to where it's supposed to be, your holes over here is all lined up to the point everything goes straight through. Then you could take like this spot over here. I just took the hammer, banged it down, force. Some force had to be used. Had to use a mallet a little. I didn't pull that out. I know the bodyguards would get horribly mad at me, but I also used Betsy over here a little. This was raw, dirty knock because it wasn't behaving, so I knocked it a little. I got it down, and then the finessing was done with the body hammers. That really you just use with one knock. So other than that, the car's coming along. This is still clamped together with the firewall. It is not welded to this. It's not a support for the firewall. The firewall supports the apron. So what I want to do is I want to get my aftermarket fender. I probably will use my OEM fender for this port and my OEM hood and get these mocked in place. And then afterwards, I will, because this I can still move. If this clamp wasn't here, I'd be able to move this. So I'm going to move this, wiggle it, get it in the position it needs to. It looks pretty stable, like this is the position it's supposed to be in, but you never know, you're not sure. So I don't want to put my fenders on, and then after my fender goes on, after this is all painted and body worked and welded and all that jazz, put that on, and then I put my hood on, and the gap between my hood and my fender is off, and I can't fix it but to cut out the fender some or cut out the hood some. And the hood's going to be fiberglass and the fender is going to be metal, and both are very annoying to work with in terms of getting gaps perfect. But I could just move this in and out. The motor is going to be supported here, and there's well more than enough room for me to wander around here, so I'm not concerned with that. So just to give you a look-see, can't see too well because it's all black, but as long as it's not, you know, rustic, I'm good. So that's the wheel, that's the thing, the firewall installed, and my gaps are extremely tight. They're very, very tight. Look over here, you can see the little shimmer, how tight that is. That's due to the fact that I screwed everything down. I screwed it down before I welded. There's a nut, you can see the shininess, it's the only thing that's shiny. This is a nut. This is a nut. Up here is a nut. Like this is, you see a little speckle. I know I don't have the greatest light here, but I think you get the general gist what I did. So everything is done here, and you know, if you have any questions, let me know on what I did. You know, what you might do would be different. I still have to do some stuff with fabricating a little piece here, so it all looks uniform. Goes on there, cutting out this piece, going to weld everything together here. Once I get this panel down, I'm also going to, when I do remove this upper panel and bang out that bottom, I'm going to butt weld a little tab here and then put some spot weld holes so this can go to this with no worries. And what else do we got? For this side, they brazed here. I don't know why. I don't know why, but they did. So if you noticed, I tried to remove it. I wasn't too concerned because I knew that I still had to build out this panel and probably fab something that'll fill in this crater over here. So this thing I know won't be moving anymore this way. It's just this way that I want to move it. So to fill in this crater, I gotta measure with a veneer this distance, and then once I got that distance down, I'm gonna add it to whatever I cut out for here, and then afterwards probably going to build something going all the way around to here, just so it's cupped under here and it's nice and clean and it looks factory. This side is good, but doing these two little spots and just cleaning up the upper apron is going to save me, give or take, $200 and something, and not have to worry about putting all these damn spot welds in, which you would have to do with the aftermarket one. Granted, I also have to weld up these holes, because these holes are supposed to be in your bracket, because you can't mount your bracket first and then mount this. Remember that. You have to mount this after your cowl's installed, the same way you have to remove your bracket when your cowl is taken off, because these spot wells here, you're not going to get to it with the bracket on top. So, word of caution, don't do what I did. Don't drill all the way through. I couldn't get to this side because it was all rusted and mangled, so I had to drill out from the bottom, so that's why these holes are there. But you live and you learn, and I'm sure there's probably a way I could have did it, but I don't care. I'll just take a plate, a copper backing, weld this in, fill it in, grind it down, be like it was never there. It'll take me 5 minutes. Alright, till next time.